Hey everyone, it's Kim Beigler, owner of Ewethful Fiber Farm and Mill, and I am here at the mill and we are inside the carder. She's unplugged, so safe as can be. I mean, I can still injure myself, but safe as can be, nothing can turn on accidentally. So we're inside the carder, and what I'm doing here is doing a big cleaning on her, and I'm actually gonna pull this off since we're sitting here. This is just the purple that I was last carding up. And so now I'm gonna start cleaning this so I can go back to processing white. So I thought I would share with you just a few minutes of what it looks like to do it, because it's kind of a process and it takes a bit. And if you are new to the channel, I own a wool mill. We are farmers and have a flock of animals that we use for fiber and some that we don't, that are just there for fun. And I just share a lot about wool, hand spinning, and all of those things. So welcome. And if you're coming back, hey, thanks for coming back. Did you miss me last week? It's been warm and it's been a harvest. We are grass seed farmers. That's what pays the bills. Mainly, this mill sort of pays some bills. It pays some bills. Anyway, it pays some wool bills. So anyway, harvest is in full effect here for the grass seed, and it's been a year. They are having a heck of a time. So I have been, and it's been warm as heck. Warm as heck, and I feel like every animal on our farm has broken itself in some form. And not by broken bones, but just one thing after another. So anyway, we're here, it's a cooler day, and I thought I'm gonna run over here and get something done, and this is it. I'm gonna get the carder cleaned out. So I'm just gonna make sure you have a good view here, and then we will do a little cleaning. I think that's pretty good, actually. Hopefully you could see me through part of that. If not, oh well. But what I'm doing is cleaning off kind of the big main drum here, and this is what takes the most amount of time. And so I've already started it, and you can see that some of the white fiber down here, and I'm gonna turn it, and you'll see that fiber come up. And this is actually, the first part is the hardest part. Now, I can still cut myself plenty of places, so I'm, gonna be careful while I do this. This is like, it doesn't look like much, but they're like little cheese graters if you scrape your skin on them. So, and then the prongs down here, obviously, they feel like how they look. How's that? So I am just gonna go through and pull big chunks of fiber off. And I'll show you the pile at the end here. When I get to the end, I'm using this super fancy cat brush. And I actually probably could buy a new cat brush. This literally is one of the ones that came with the mill, and it's pretty worn down. So, maybe this is the year that I remember and get a new cat brush. So I will just go through and brush it off, and then we'll give it another turn, and you'll see it's not 100%. Like, I'm not getting 100% of the fiber out, but the fiber that's on the bottom is white, because that's kind of where I start from, because you don't want to be doing all white after I just did purple or black or something dark like that, because the transfer is going to be, it could be, depending on the fibers that you carded before, it could be pretty intense. So instead, as I go through, I'm just pulling this off. So the point being that when I clean the carder, I'm gonna start back at white. We're gonna card all the white I can come up with, and then we'll start going into light grays and get darker and darker. Now with the grays and stuff, I probably could have cleaned up this gray or this purple, especially because it is it's a Romney fleece, and they don't tend to get too caught up in the carder. So I could have probably run the carder really well, given it like my normal, vacuum and clean out between batches, and I probably could have gone back to a darker gray, but we're just, we're doing this because the last time I let this get too built up, and oh my gosh, was it a pain to clean. So I'm like, I have white fiber that can be processed, so let's not put ourselves through the agony of that again. And what happens is that the fiber gets so thick on this drum that it gets really hard to do what I'm doing here, where I'm just like pulling bits of it off. And it takes so much brushing to get to those bottom layers. And when I'm doing this, there's also some bits of VM that are coming off. I mean, ideally, you don't have a ton of VM going into the machine, but that's in the ideal world. But if you're sending a fleece to a mill, the ideal is that you are not sending them a fleece with a bunch of VM in it, because that can really clog up the machine and it can transfer to the next order. So anyway, this is what we're doing. So I'll just pull chunks. I'll get up there. And it takes a while. I mean, the drum is sizable, so it'll take me, because I'm doing this, I haven't waited too insanely long. It'll probably take me about a half an hour or so to get through this, maybe a little longer. I like to forget, you know, yeah, one of those things you try to forget how long it takes. So, and it depends how thorough you want to be. Like I said, you're not going to get every hair out. I don't know. I mean, some mill owners may, but that is not my goal. My goal is to kind of get the majority of it out, to get back to where I feel comfortable getting white on here, and to not have a ton of VM in the machine. So this is how it happens. The next stage of this really is kind of what I do every time. Like, I go through, make sure all these different rollers are cleaned up, which is just a matter of vacuuming, a quick vacuum. Make sure the fiber is out of all the ends here, because it can get really caught up in fiber there. And so basically just do a really thorough vacuum. And then once that's all done, run the machine for maybe like 5 to 10 minutes. And that'll help run everything else off that is caught up in the machine. So that's how we will roll. And I'll let you kind of see, I'll let you see how much fiber comes off this, keeping in mind that it hasn't been that insanely long since I've done a clean. So, and I generally, it totally depends when I do this. I have been able to go many months before, probably shouldn't have. But because I'm not doing custom processing anymore, I'm not quite as finicky about having to clean this out so much. And if you're, you know, working with fibers that don't get caught up in the machine, that's the ideal, right? Then you don't have to clean this as often. So it's really just every mill owner's. I've heard of some people that never, ever, ever do this. Or like once every 5 years, which seems intense, but each mill owner to his own. That's what I say. Whatever works for you works. So, okay, I'm gonna stop jibber jabbering. I know y'all love that. Just jibber jabbering about wool. And I'll let you see when we get past this stage. I'll show you how much fiber is down on the ground. First, I'm gonna let it run. I'll record, I scrolled you in so you can see a little bit closer. And I'm standing on a little step ladder over here so I can get an easier grip, but thought I'd let you see just for a minute. Closer up, probably could have done that for you all sooner, but I think you could get a good idea. So this is a big part of owning a cleaning is a huge part of owning a mill. Like, your shop vac becomes one of your most important tools in mill owning because of so much cleaning. And it's something I know I've talked to new mill owners that are just like shocked by the level of time it takes to clean. And it's really true, especially if you're doing custom. You wouldn't, if I was still doing custom, it's not like I would do this massive clean between each customer, but you do it more often, and you're certainly super aware not only of the color of fiber, but the type of wool that you're processing or fiber. Because if you're doing something that has a lot of guard hairs in it, you may have to do a cleaning after that. Like if I was doing a California red fleece, I would probably clean my carder down after that because of the amount of hairs that get into the machine. If you're doing mohair and things like that, things that have guard hairs, you really have to be aware. Even like Kiviot, something like that, you've really got to be aware. You could be doing it in white, not that there's necessarily white Kiviot, but if you were doing something in white that had a lot of guard hairs in it, you could not do another white fleece after that, most likely. So anyway, okay, now I think I'll stop and I'll show you the pile of debris when I'm done. There is a certain level of satisfaction in this, but also it's not like the funnest way to spend your time as a mill owner. And it's the way so many of us spend our time. Okay, I'll be back. Wow. Okay, you all. So I got off and then like almost was basically done. I was like, okay, this is a good reminder to me to, and I do have Band-Aids on, but it's not from the machine. That's from slicing sourdough bread at home. So we're coming up with a new, I was like, that was bound to happen. Luckily not too bad, but when I'm at the mill especially, I do not want all the crud that I work with to get into my nice little wounds, right? So on the farm, basically most of my life, I don't want stuff to get in here. So now what I'm done, so the big drum is done. It probably took 15 minutes, which is amazing. Good reminder to myself to clean more often. Even if it doesn't necessarily need it, it just will be much faster than if I don't. So now I am going along and just wiping off the fiber from the fancy here. And there's some purple. Usually I probably would have run this a little bit better to get the last of the purple out, but it's fine. It's gonna be just fine. So I'm pulling this. Sometimes fiber can get kind of caught down in these big long teeth. These teeth are probably about 1 inch. So I use this other tool, which is, it's actually not meant for that, but I used to use knitting needles just to get down deep enough to pull any fiber that got pushed down. And these little teeth are boogers, let me tell you. If you own a mill, even if you just own a carder or you're hand carding at home, any type of fiber processing, I would highly recommend that you are up to date on your tetanus shot. Tetanus shot is every 10 years. And I think even if you really ding yourself bad, a lot of times if you end up at the doctor or the hospital, a lot of times I think they give you a renewal. My husband obviously is a farmer and they prefer to do every 5-year tetanus shots on farmers. I think part of that is because farmers never go to the doctor. And so it's a preemptive, like when most people would go to the doctor for an injury, farmers won't. And so they would have gotten that tetanus shot boosted probably. But since the farmers never even go to the doctor. Anyway. Farm life. Okay, so the rest of this machine, I'm gonna go through and vacuum. There's a little bit of purple left in the machine. Like I said, ideally I would have cleaned that off, but I just got excited. Another tool I have is this little, it looks like a drill, but it's really just has like a little knob at the end that helps me pick fiber out of the bearings. And I'll show you what I'm doing here. So this is a really nice tool to use, and I can just put it, let me put it at one that has some, see how there's some fiber there. There's bearings in there with oil, and if I don't pull fiber out, then it will get clogged, it will just start to build, so it just pulls stuff out for me, so that I don't have, here's another one we can show you. So it just swivels in there and then you can pull the fiber out, kind of smaller spaces that would be harder to get in. I am very good about keeping up on this because I have had where I don't keep up on it. And so anywhere basically that there's these small spaces that fiber can get in, and once fiber gets in there, it will just start gathering more and more and more, and it will get tighter and tighter and tighter, and then you will have an hour-long project of cleaning out a bearing, and it definitely will affect your machine and how it's running. So I'll go through, do that. I'm gonna do a good vacuum on it and then run it for about 5 to 10 minutes just to let it finish cleaning out. And then we'll be set. Pull back and you can kind of see what it looks like opened up here. So I'll run through, finish doing this, kind of do a quick vacuum, and then just let it run. Let it run, and I'll let you see what it looks like at the end, and also the pile of fiber on the other side of the machine. Okay, we're back. So I just ran the machine for probably 5 minutes or so. It didn't need much, but we can see that, okay, maybe we can see, let me open this up and you can see that we're nice and clean now. I'll have to go through and do one last vacuum, but you can see even the carding cloth down there is nice and clean. And so I'll go through. Here's what I pulled off of the drum there. So that's a fair amount. It'll go into a compost pile. I have somebody, Larita, who uses a lot of my waste wool for compost, or I'll stick it into a bag for stuffing, because a lot of people will use it for stuffing, including me, for pillows and things like that. So there she is. I'm gonna go through and you can kind of see the last of the fiber that came off of the machine is down there. So I'll go through and do one more vacuum, and we'll be ready for some white fiber, yay, because I have that beautiful Corriedale fleece to go through here. Okay, onward we shall go. See, it was worthwhile coming in today. Okay, hi everyone. We're at my wheel, so you can just kind of see the top of it here. I'm at my Ashford Kiwi because I'm going to do some plying and some soap boxing. So just stay, I promise. I am not going to be mean to anybody. Well, maybe one or two people high up in the world. Okay, but what I'm flying, I thought I would show you because I finished it. So this is, I'm pretty sure it was BFL, maybe with something, I can't remember. I think it's just BFL, but there is all spun up, and I am going to be, my plan is to ply this up and then use it with a very dark brown Corriedale that I spun up recently. So I'm very excited to be done with this. This was dyed top. It was beautifully dyed top, but I just, it's not my favorite thing to spin. So I was kind of over it. So I'm going to put it kind of over on the bed that is next to me here, so that there's a little bit of distance between myself and the wheel. And I will tell you that this is one of my favorite things. This is an Ashford Lazy Kate that is tensioned. So that's really nice to have. So I'm going to be plying this up while I do a little soap boxing, because somebody was so kind and mentioned to me how, mentioned like this is how women for ages have talked about things going on in the world. I wish I could get a little bit of I just can't really get everything in at this height. So I apologize that you can't necessarily see what I'm doing, but you'll be able to watch my hands and how I ply, I suppose. So anyway, soapbox for the week. I honestly tried to do this yesterday and I just didn't have it in me to soapbox because of just life. You know what? Just life sometimes. And so I gave myself some grace and I stopped. And now we're here today and I've got more. And I'm going to tell you what gave me a little bit of extra vigor was watching Jon Stewart on The Daily Show. I believe it was Monday the 21st. Watching him respond to the cancellation of Stephen Colbert's show. Especially the end. If you go watch it, you can watch it on YouTube. I think it's almost a half hour. And at the very end, it will invigorate you. It will invigorate you. It will give you all the feelings that you may be having, except that he vocalizes them and stands up and really says what lots of us want to hear. And we wish that it would be maybe from some of our politicians doing what he did. So anyway, thank you for that. It's a pretty basic soapbox. Here are my thoughts for... There's so much, right? But my main thoughts are our current president does not have the skills, not even mildly, to be the president of this country, nor does he give a flying F about any of us in this country. Maybe some very, very, very wealthy elite friends, because Trump is definitely an elite. So let's not get crazy on, I don't know how he somehow passed off that he was not in some upper financial circle of the world, but he definitely is. And he doesn't care about the rest of us. All this is a money grab and a power grab, and he doesn't care about any of us. And it should unite us that whether you are a MAGA supporter, a Trump supporter, not supporter of the current administration at all, we're all in this together, because we're not getting anything out of what's happening in this country right now. So it's time to come together more and stand up. And you can tell that he doesn't care, because look at the big, beautiful bill. There is nothing that is going to help everyday Americans in that bill. Look at the distraction of the Epstein files that's happening right now. he was friends with him for a very long time. It doesn't seem that far-fetched to imagine that maybe he is in those files and doesn't want that information to come out, and he's going to every extreme to not have the files come out. And what would the files coming out do besides all the political implications? What if these poor women that are victims of this person got some sense of closure or justice? But because this administration does not care about everyday people, that's not going to be allowed to happen. So I just want to be clear on that, because there is nobody, and I would pretty much throw out that almost just about every Republican now is in that same world where they're just willing to not just take, but to advocate for and support some of the craziness that is going on with this administration. So, second thought, stemming off of Stephen Colbert's show being canceled, Jon Stewart standing up and saying all the things that we want to hear. CBS, Paramount, shove it. You're the worst. If you haven't been paying attention to this, that Stephen Colbert's show got canceled. It just so happened to be a few days after he made some very strong comments about the lawsuit that they settled with Trump for a lot of money. And being on that network, he was not happy about it, and he voiced his opinion. And then miraculously, in a few days after that, even though he's the #1 rated late night talk show host, even if the show is not making money like they used to, they canceled him even though they're in the #1 slot. So this happened just a few days apart. The network says it's for financial reasons, but we all know it's not, right? It's the same reason that public broadcasting is getting money pulled. It is the same reason that, you can go more away from media and say it's the same reason that Medicaid is getting cut. It's the same reason that DEI is getting cut. It's the same reason that Planned Parenthood and other organizations that work for and advocate for women and for every gender identity. It's because this is about money and control. That is what it comes down to. The elite, the uber wealthy want more. And it doesn't matter what happens to the rest of us. It doesn't matter. And the way that you control the rest of us, being most of the population of this country and the world, is you hold on to services, and you hold on to money, and you hold on to control. And by services, I mean healthcare, I mean Medicaid, I mean education, I mean news, good, actual funded news, good science, environmental protection things. These are all ways to control all of us, right? If they have the control of all of these services, we kind of have to keep going along, don't we? It's about control and money. We could go deep, 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 but I'm gonna leave it there. So it's a guarding of resources to keep us all in check. And on top of that, to help divide us. How many politicians do you honestly think really care about women's reproductive rights? I bet a lot of them don't. But it's a way to help divide us. It's a way to get people on one side or another and screaming at each other so that the us are not working together, and we're not paying attention, and we're being distracted from what's really happening. So what would I say to this? I say stay educated. Donate, donate, donate to whoever you can that will help provide those services that are being cut for everyone. Whether it's for public broadcasting, whether it's for women's rights, whether it's for DEI equality, put your money into donating and to shopping at the places that are protecting those rights and services. And don't yell at your neighbor. It's really hard and really easy for us to say, I'm going to blame this person because they voted that way. And that's the goal, is to divide us so that we won't come together and be stronger. So maybe don't yell at your neighbor. Don't hate your neighbor forever, but instead say, let's have some empathy. Like, let's get along. Let's figure out how to move forward. And rather than yelling at your neighbor, how about if you yell at just about any politician? And I'm not just going to limit it to Republicans or the current administration. We need to be writing to Democratic politicians as well and saying, what are you doing? You're not coming up with a new plan. Like, there are so many issues that you could stand on instead of yelling about what the other side is doing wrong. Come up with solutions that are viable solutions that will make life for us better. And we can all get on board with that. And that's part of who we should be yelling at as well. So send the emails, stay educated, donate, spend your money with companies that are doing good in this world. And don't be distracted, because meanwhile, in Gaza, in Ukraine, around the world, there's so much bad stuff happening that we're so easily getting distracted from. So anyway, everybody, there's the soapbox. Look, I can't even spin. Why do I even try? I'm gonna pretend right now that I was spinning. Okay, everybody. I'm gonna have one next week because I have all those wonderful skirting videos. So I'm going to share that next week with you all. Hopefully I'll have gotten to the mill a little bit more. It's starting to cool off a little bit in there and the humidity is rising a little bit. So I have my fingers crossed that I can at least get some wool washed. Something. So meanwhile, we're very busy, you know. Farming season is long and hard, and so it all works out. It all works out. Okay, until next week, everybody, be kind to your neighbor. Just because our administration doesn't have empathy for everybody around us doesn't mean that we cannot, and we can be a shining example of caring about each other. Stay healthy. And of course, don't forget to make so many pretty things. I hope to have this spun or applied up so I can show you all in the next episode and show you my finished rabbit that will be hitting the mail very soon. So everybody, thank you so much for watching. I have a Ewethful Patreon community. You can get on my newsletter. There will be fiber coming out soon, I promise. But the Ewethful Patreon community is the best place to get first dibs on that. Join my newsletter. Hit the subscribe and like button, and thank you so much for your support, your comments, for being kind to each other, and for making the world a more beautiful place with all of the making that you do. So thank you so much. Take care, everybody.